Friends, good evening, or good afternoon, whenever you're viewing this, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Crane Report with my friend Duane Weiss. We're here to educate you, amuse you,
Entertain you,
entertain you,
make you mad.
Make you mad, and a whole bunch of other emotions too. But before we get going, I do have something to say about the fact that our friend Norma Shruhan is retiring as director of our senior center here in Norfolk. I want to wish her all the best in her retirement, which is effective at the end of August. Very selfishly, I must tell you all that I will miss working with Norma. She's a great friend who I love and respect greatly. She's one of the most dedicated people I have ever met. Hardworking, honest, cheerful, competent, helpful, and a delight to be with. There are some who have no idea what this little lady brings to the table because she deliberately flies below the radar. But she's on top of everything at the senior center, and she made it all look easy. But all good things must come to an end, and rather than wish it were not so, we extend our best wishes to Norma and wish her a long and happy retirement.
That's true. She's a real gem.
She is.
She really makes that place look welcoming.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't want to use the word home as a rest home, but it's like a second home for people like us that go there.
It is. You go in, you have a cup of coffee, you sit down, you gab with your friends. There's all kinds of little activities that are going on up there.
The daily papers are there. They have a nice little library. She's always got activities planned for everybody.
Yep. It couldn't be better.
No, couldn't.
Really couldn't. I've worked with and supervised all kinds of people in my working career. Very rarely have I found anyone to be 100% competent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, she hits that needle right up to close to 100. Yeah. Well, there's no surprises with her. You ask her a question, there's the answer.
Yep, she's got the answer.
She is on top of everything, and she's going to be missed.
Yeah.
Now, it's not all bad because she'll be coming back up there on a fairly regular basis to schmooze with her friends and take part in the activities and go on trips and have the lunches and all that kind of good stuff.
She's got to come back to keep score for trivia.
That's it. I told her that.
Yep, I told her that too.
Yeah. I said, I'm not going to take my chances with somebody new that can't even count.
No, they might cheat.
That's right. And not only that, but I wouldn't put it past Gordon to pay her off, too.
That's right.
Well, great. I have a couple of outrages, and then we're going to get to some real outrages.
It's been a week for outrages.
The horror in the Middle East continues. But talk about flying beneath the radar. Some of this stuff going on over there is just simply not publicized.
No, it's not.
And Pope Francis last week spoke out on the genocide against Catholics and Christians in the Middle East. People are being murdered and tortured on just a routine basis, and yet the world is silent. And we vowed after World War II, after the Holocaust, we could never remain silent again and allow something like that to happen. And look at...
It's happening all over again.
It's happening all over again. And Our president says nothing.
No, he has his own agenda.
Yeah.
He has a very scary agenda.
You know, I would hope that he or Miss Clinton would react to these statements by the Holy Father. I think it will be a long time coming before that happens.
Very long time.
And you know, there was a 13-year-old girl. She had dual U.S. and Israeli citizenship.
Yep.
And she was in Israel with her parents. Early Thursday, a 17-year-old Palestinian named Muhammad Nasser Taraya broke into their home and stabbed her to death. A grisly picture of Hilal's bedroom, blood spattering the bed in which he was murdered and the floor next to it, conveys the beastliness of the murder more powerfully than words can. The Palestinian Society not only embraces homicide as perfectly acceptable, but glorifies it. Just days earlier, an advisor to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas gave this instruction to his people in an interview: every place you find an Israeli, slit his throat. This is unbelievable. And the girl's mother said, quote, "How can you say farewell to a child of 13?" cried Hilal's distraught mother at yesterday's funeral. What words can one use to eulogize a flower, a pure soul? To these questions, there are no answers. As for how it is that Palestinian leaders can continue to get away with incitement to murder, there's no answer to that either.
Yep.
This is just one little example that we know of because this little girl was a U.S. citizen. But it goes on over there daily.
But we don't even know a fraction of what's going on.
Nothing. No.
Folks, if your news is coming out of the Boston Globe, you're only getting about 25% of it. Even the Herald is no great shake, but they will pick these stories up. The Wall Street Journal will pick these stories up, and they're big stories. Then you go to the Globe, which I get all three, and you open it up. Where is it? They don't mention it.
Speaking of that, and I hadn't thought to mention, I wasn't prepared to speak about this,
Okay.
but the buses down at the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the Muslims refused to get on the bus with Jewish athletes.
Yeah.
They refused to participate in activities where their bodies touched Jewish athletes. What did our president have to say about that?
Nothing.
What did the press have to say about
Nothing.
that? No. And how did we find out about that? Fox News.
Fox News.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, no one is reporting this stuff.
Nope.
It's an election cycle, you see.
Yes, it is.
We certainly don't want to talk about icky things during an election cycle, especially since this guy has got the Middle East all calmed down.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
he says so.
Yeah, right. ISIS was now a JV.
Yeah. Got him on the run.
Got him on the run.
Yeah. And this Israeli-Palestinian skirmish has been going on for how many years?
Well, at least since 1957.
Yeah, at least going probably back to 48.
48, yeah.
And we're powerless to do anything about it. So we don't even try any longer. The United Nations is so anti-Semitic, so anti-Israel, that they can't accomplish a damn thing, and they don't want to.
No.
It's an unbelievable situation. Unbelievable. But the silence, you would think that Mrs. Clinton would have something to say about this. But she's not. Do you remember the Seinfeld episode of The Boy in the Bubble?
Yeah.
That's her. She's in the bubble.
Yeah.
Yep, going to stay right in that bubble, too. Not going to speak. If she had her way, she figures she's in front. She had her way, she would stay in that bubble until the election day and not speak another word.
Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen when and if they have actual debates.
He'll say something. She'll get insulted and incensed. She'll take her headset off and she'll throw it
She'll slam
and
it
say,
down.
I am not being on the same stage with this pig.
Even that would
And
be
stop off.
interesting too.
Yeah, because she knows that she's going to get outgunned. There's no way she can talk standing on her feet versus him.
Once she has to face her own issues,
Yeah,
she's in trouble.
big trouble. Will it be enough to change the election over to Trump? I don't know. He keeps shooting himself. I don't know.
Well, he did better this last one.
He's got to. He's got to string together.
Kept on topic.
Yeah, he's got to string together these speeches. Immigration, jobs market, innovation, race relations, and on and on. The infrastructure. Speeches about it and clearly state his positions.
Yep.
And then when it comes time to take questions, his aide comes and says, come on, we're late, the plane's waiting. And off he goes.
Yep.
Because if not, after, I'll say an hour speech, and he's exhilarated, he's pumped, and they start throwing stuff at him, he's a cocky guy, and he feels duty-bound to answer the questions.
To get into
and
the fight with him.
that's when it starts.
Yeah. This last speech, he didn't step in any cow pies.
Yeah, that's
Not
it.
one.
That's it.
The only thing he said that the CNN and the other people tried to use something was, we will viciously vet them, meaning our foreigners coming in.
Yeah.
And he didn't mean viciously. He meant
Aggressively. Yeah.
vet.
Yeah.
And everybody tried to say that. Even the CNN people, they tried to make a deal of it. A couple of them said, no, he didn't mean that. That's crazy.
Well, okay. Today, folks, I couldn't get Judge Judy to come on the show. She's busy, she said. However, we do have
Judge Judiah.
Judge Duane here today.
Better than Judge Judy.
And I've lined up quite a few cases, quite a few outrages here. And I'm going to ask Judge Duane to pass judgment.
What did she say? What, something that's not an answer? There's not an answer or something.
Well, I'm going to give you two cases, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to compare them. A StubHub hacker, looks like he's a Russian or Russian national, was one of 6 men indicted in July 2014 on charges that they stole personal data online and then used the information to buy tickets for concerts, sporting events, Broadway shows, and sold them. He pleaded guilty last month to money laundering and criminal possession of stolen property. According to prosecutors, he and his bunch used credit card and bank information stolen from StubHub customers to buy more than 3,500 tickets. StubHub was defrauded of more than $1 million, according to the prosecutor. Okay, Judge?
Got it.
All right. The hacker got 4 to 12 years.
Pretty good pay.
Iowa men plead guilty to gun charges from the Pokemon tournament.
Oh, that's where they came up to Boston.
Yeah, these two
I remember those two
vegetables.
doofus.
Yeah. They admitted to having a rifle, shotgun, and an arsenal of ammo, and they came up to this Pokemon World Championships. Well, Kevin Norton, 19, of Ames, Iowa, took his 12-gauge Remington shotgun and ammo with him when he made the 25-hour trip to Boston with James Stumbo, 28, of Boone, Iowa, who brought his AR-15. Now, that's sort of uncommon for lads to take to a Pokemon conference.
Yeah, particularly
assault weapons
in Massachusetts.
And 12-gauge Remington shotguns. Stumbo posted to Facebook a picture of the guns on the trunk of Norton's white Chevy Prism with the caption, "Kevin Norton and I are ready for World's Boston. Here we come." They're standing there with the guns. Then later comments on the photo, Columbine Part 2, another Boston massacre, and Boston bombing. So they worked out a plea bargain. The judge, Rosalind Miller,
She's been in the news before.
yeah, sentenced each man to 2 years in the South Bay House of Corrections, to be followed by 2 years of probation, which can be served back home in Iowa. With the stipulations, they own no weapons, stay away from witnesses, and undergo mental health evaluations. The threats and the unlicensed guns were a combination of two factors that went awry, their attorney said. This was, for lack of a better way to put it, an internet feud between Mr. Norton and another that sort of went over the top. Just kids having fun. But Stumbo's attorney said his client is here today to acknowledge what he did was wrong and was horrible and a mistake. At least he is still a young man with no sordid past and still with a bright future. Both of them have served nearly 1 year of time since they've been arrested, so now they only have a 1-year sentence. And I'm sure they'll skate with good behavior.
Of course.
Now, this guy steals some tickets, and he gets up to 12 years. These two make threats with automatic weapons, put the pictures on the internet, and act like a couple of damn fools.
Mm-hmm.
And they get 2 years.
Yeah.
Which of the two is the correct sentence?
The correct sentence is the first one,
Yeah.
because you're not really stealing from StubHub, you're stealing from customers. And I personally, and I'm not supposed to bring it as a Judge Judy here as a personal, but when you start messing with somebody else's identity and their credit cards and their credit and stealing that, I think the punishment should be a lot more severe than it is.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is ridiculous. I would start considering it 20 or 25, and then a 10-year supervised probation after that.
Mm-hmm.
Those two, if judged to be sane, are inherently dangerous.
Yes, they are. And you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but you don't have a lot of confidence in looking at these two lads.
No,
I'll
I
tell
remember
you.
what.
I
First,
don't know.
when I first saw that case, I thought, well, he's got a Remington shotgun and a couple boxes of shells. I'm thinking, well, in Iowa, everybody's got a pickup's got a shotgun
Yeah,
in the back window and a couple boxes of shells under the seat.
it's a way of life.
That's just the way it is.
That's the way it is.
It wasn't that way. These guys were exhibited some other characteristics that were
Yeah.
very telling.
Obviously, they were trying to put people in fear of their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
These postings on the internet may seem innocuous, but they are very dangerous, and they are the signs of a screw loose in both of those two. The bit about getting mental health study is, you know, that's something drastically needed here. But I'll tell you, they got off mighty light. with
Very
that.
light. If they had said they were going after some group of minorities, not that they were, just that they kind of implied that, they'd had the book thrown at them.
Oh, absolutely. No question. No question. This was a shotgun approach.
Yeah.
They just put it out there. Bang. Not even at anybody in particular. Okay. Leslie Van Houten, the youngest of the Manson clan, has been denied parole, I think, 32 times. Or, no, I'm sorry. She's been denied 20 times.
A load of them.
Yeah. Yeah. She's been 46 years in prison.
Yep.
She's been, and they let her, every 2 years, they let her apply. The parole board. Now, in truth in advertising here, she has never expressed remorse or sorrow over this.
Nope.
Okay? But during this latest appearance before the parole board, they found she was no longer the violent woman who helped slaughter a wealthy grocer and his wife. And folks, I don't know whether you know too much about the Manson family slaughter of the LoBianca family and of Sharon Tate, but it was about as gruesome
Yeah.
as it gets.
It was a sadistic murder.
It was, and to slice open a pregnant woman and rip the child out of her body. This is what Leslie Van Houten and her cohorts did. When she was given life imprisonment, life imprisonment means life imprisonment.
Yep, should.
The fact that she completed college degrees, ran self-help groups for other inmates, and had a spotless disciplinary record means nothing.
It does to her.
To her,
It makes the time go by better,
yes,
and she gets a little more comfort out of it.
yes. And in the life hereafter, maybe,
Maybe.
you know. But Governor Brown stood up like a man and said, no way. I'm not convinced at all.
Yeah.
And
How old is she today, do you know?
66 or 60, 66. So, her lawyer's going to challenge this decision in Superior
Of
Court.
course.
So they may decide to have you hear the case.
She's going to stay.
She's going to stay.
She's going to stay because life is life,
Life is life.
and you can't go back and rewrite history.
That's right.
You
And
can negate what you did on your own conscience, but on society, you can't do it.
that LoBianca family is dead.
Oh, yeah.
Dead. That little unborn baby is dead.
If she's 66 now, come see me when she's 86, and I may give her a pass to go to a movie or something for.
Yeah, she probably won't be able to escape with her walker.
Or not.
Yeah, well, you're a kinder and gentler soul than I am. I'd put her in, shut the door, and forget about it. All right. 2 state troopers face assault charges. We watched this over and over and over. This is the video where they chased him up into New Hampshire. And then the 2 cops, the guy surrenders, he lays down, he's prone, and they jumped on him and beat him.
Oh, when I saw that, I said, guys. What are you doing?
What is unbelievable to me is they are being charged with simple assault for their use of force. The prosecutor, in his affidavit, the prosecutors found nothing uncovered that would warrant or justify the level of force used upon Simone by Trooper Monaco and Trooper Flynn. Monaco punched him 12 times and gave him 2 knee strikes. Flynn delivered 8 punches on a defenseless man on the ground. I don't care if he was the worst criminal since Adolf Hitler. They don't have the right to do this. And they both, by the way, essentially admitted what they did.
It's with those 2 individuals particularly, the excitement rate gets so high.
Listen, absolutely.
They're going up. They're still driving 100 miles an hour.
They are
out of that car.
That's right.
And
that was a long, crazy car chase.
Yep. And these guys are just out of control when they get that.
They are full of testosterone. They are hyped about it as high as you can get.
I think they should be. There's got to be a form of punishment. It's got to be something other than a fine or a suspension. It's got to be.
They've got to lose their badges and their gun. They can never, ever be put on a police uniform again.
And some time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 3 to 5.
Yeah. That'd be fair on that.
Yeah.
But you see that action. If you ever watch Cops from Abroad, watch these Russian police forces. They don't arrest somebody. They arrest them and then they beat the living hell out of them.
Do you know, I was stationed in Germany for 2 years.
Yep.
And the police are in dark green, the Land Polizei. And I watched them. They came on post because we had German workers on post. And we also had German troops on post drilling because I was at a training center in Hohenfels. And boy, I want to tell you something. Those 2 cops were given the guy they wanted. They beat the crap out of him with batons before they put him in their car.
The Russians do that too.
I'll tell you, I felt sorry for the guy because they belted him all over the place. And I was from a little further than here to the front door. I watched the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay, well, this is a real tricky one coming up.
Okay. Well, they don't pay me $10 million for nothing.
All right. A 3-term Northern Virginia mayor was arrested on drug charges after he tried to trade 2 grams of methamphetamine for sex acts, which in what turned out to be an undercover sting operation. He's the city of Fairfax, Virginia's mayor.
Sure.
Scott
That's so pathetic.
Silverthorne. But this gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silverthorne, who also worked as a substitute teacher in Fairfax County Public Schools, was arrested and gave a full confession. the city announced that Councilman Jeffrey Greenfield has been appointed acting mayor.
Surprise.
So, what do we do with Mayor Silverthorne?
Well, again, he's going to be prosecuted, and he's going to have a time to think about this.
He's confessed.
Yeah, and he's never be in a position of trust or responsibility that has anything remotely related to that again. And he's going to pay for that.
We have two things wrong here. First of all, he's trying to buy sex from guys.
Yeah.
And number two, he's
Oh, I thought it was a woman's prison. Never mind. That's
No.
even more to me. That's
and then he also works as a teacher in a position of trust in the school.
that's the two points right there.
Yeah. And,
they're even
now,
more.
and number three, there's a
Yeah.
third point. He has a source where he gets methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's dealing, it's kind of a triple whammy here. Betraying the trust
So the
as a school teacher is
prison
number one.
aspect's bad enough.
Yeah.
But the other end of it is far worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, jail time?
10.
10 years?
Yep.
Okay.
Meth is a very dangerous drug.
It's a
one
very
of the
dangerous drug. and
highest addictive drug, has the
Yeah.
highest addictive rate.
Oh,
of
you go
anything.
crazy with it too. So he's dealing with a very dangerous drug, and then he's dealing with school children. Yeah, 10 years is
10.
maybe more.
Yeah, well, he'll screw up something. He'll get.
Someone loosened the lug nuts
This
on a Boston cop's personal vehicle in East Boston. The third incident of tampering on cop cars this month. The officer spotted 2 lug nuts missing from one of the wheels of her car in the East Boston Police Station's parking area. 2 other officers had the tires of their personal vehicles fall off or become dislodged under suspicious circumstances while they were driving. So, what do you think about this? About the type of person that would do this?
I had some personal contact with some people that know about this. A couple of weeks ago, we were at my grandson's
Right.
birthday party. At that birthday party was a Boston police officer. And he's been, I think, on for 12 or 17 years.
Is he on the Boston Police Department's youth violence strike force?
I don't know.
Because that's what the parking lot was that
Could
this
be.
happened in.
He's a detective.
Yeah, okay,
He's a
sure.
street. He's not a plainclothes detective, but there are uniform detectives.
Yes.
But he does both. And he was telling us about this, and there's more incidences in those 3.
Okay.
But to date, Boston Globe has not mentioned that.
So it's not worthy of.
No, nobody would do that. It's gotten so bad among the PD that this young man, I call him young, he's young to me. I asked him about his service weapon. We got talking. I'm interested in guns and stuff. And he said, he says the first 3 years or 4 years in the force, he always carried it. They gave you an option. When you're off duty, you can take it or you don't have to take it. And he says now, since this Black Lives Matter stuff comes, he never leaves the command without his weapon.
Yeah, I think I was told by a couple of police officer friends of mine that they're on 24/7.
Yeah.
Police officers never off duty.
They're never off duty.
So when they go out, they always carry
Yep.
their weapon. Well, what the devil? Why not? You see a holdup in progress, or you see a mugging or something like that. What are you going to do? Throw your newspaper at the guy?
That's true. He said there's so much of this stuff going around. And they're also having trouble recruiting. Big time recruiting.
Yeah. Well, you can see that. Yeah, there's a big story in the Herald about that.
Yeah.
The minorities are not applying.
Won't go close.
Nope. What do you do to someone
That does that?
Yeah.
Throw a book at them. Because there's two factors there. There's one personal injury type factory, and there's another. It's almost an act of anarchy.
Terrorism.
Terrorism.
Yeah,
Anarchy,
domestic terrorism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Against law and order.
That's right. So you get two factors there.
Yeah.
And together, they're very serious.
Yeah. This would seem to me to be an ideal position to send a young man that's doing this perhaps away to a good work camp, prison, where he can work his energy off over a 10 or 12 year span. I wouldn't send him away for less than that.
Leavenworth would be a good possibility. And I'm sure you can come up with some kind of federal restrictions or federal laws with the act of terrorism.
Domestic terrorism, yeah. Oh, this is an interesting story. Here's a gentleman, veteran of the U.S. Army. He did something terrible. He put a Trump sign on his lawn up in New Hampshire, and it continues to get defaced all the time.
How could he
And
do that?
Here's the woman
They
defacing.
got pictures of her doing it.
Yep. And guess what? She jumped in her car and went roaring off. Well, he stood there because it's a dead-end road. And she came back and tried to run him down.
Well, the defacing the sign is a misdemeanor, and it's good for a fine. The fact that she tried to run him down is assault with a deadly weapon.
Well, she stole his flags, too, because he put U.S. flags out with the Trump sign.
Yeah, what?
And she stole his flags. So we got three things here.
Yep.
Defacing private property, theft of private property, and then operating so as to endanger.
Yep. In fact, if she ran at him, it's assault.
Yeah. She she was arrested. Okay, I thought there was a comment in her here about her. She didn't say anything. So, but it would seem to me that this guy had to go to lengths. He had to buy a camera to catch her.
Probably put one of them game cameras out.
Yep. And
I'd give her 3 to 5 right off the bat.
yep. Yeah, I agree.
Because you can't let that stuff just go on.
No.
Because it's this today, then it's something else tomorrow. And the next thing you got things like Milwaukee going.
57 years old.
Should have known better.
She's being charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and 4 counts of defacing property. So I'm glad to see that happen. And you know, him catching her, that is.
Do you know that? That would miss the Globe, too.
Yeah, of course. You never be in the Globe. Low-class riffraff. We don't publish that sort of thing. Well, we have a special needs specialist. He teaches, not teaches, but he works in Malden High School. He's a special needs paraprofessional. I guess he's sort of a glorified teacher's aide with the severely disabled.
That makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in taking the lad, the 16-year-old lad.
Is that Norfolk school system? By the description of the position.
Malden High. So he took a 16-year-old lad. Part of his job was to assist him with the going to the toilet. He raped him. More than once. Continuously. Then, he was arrested and brought to court. Assistant Middlesex District Attorney Courtney Linehan made no argument to hold McDonald on bail. He was allowed to go free without bail or GPS monitoring.
That's inexcusable.
The clerk magistrate had ordered GPS monitoring attached to him. The defense appealed that decision to Judge Bruce Henry, this is good, who dismissed the GPS requirement on the spot. Tutman called GPS a draconian measure that really has no purpose whatsoever, because McDonald has strong support from family and friends. And his wife of 18 years was at his side, but she declined to comment.
So?
The kid became traumatized and terrified of going to the bathroom with this guy. So McDonald also agreed to self-report yesterday to Malden Police for booking and fingerprinting. Self-reporting. No bail.
No.
No GPS because it's a draconian measure. Do you get the impression that just maybe this guy is wired in politically?
I was going to say he knows somebody.
Boy, does he ever.
He has to. And this is what I would like to see a newspaper or somebody start digging this stuff up.
Yeah.
Who is he connected to?
Who's he connected to? And the judge rolls over and plays dead. So this guy is connected to somebody with some horsepower.
I'm going back to that old statement again. I don't know how you do it, change the state constitution, but we've got to start electing judges instead of appointing them.
Guess who has to change the Constitution? The legislature.
That's what I mean. Well,
and they're playing footsie with all these guys. I mean, the judges don't want this. The judges are very happy with it the way it is.
It's so hard to get anything done here because we got a one-party state.
Unbelievable. Well, you're innocent until proven guilty, so I guess we'll have to hold off on this guy before.
It'll be interesting to see one of these judges that sort of poo-pooed the whole thing. If it comes before them for adjudication, what kind of sentencing is this going to be?
Yeah. You know, and I know what it's going to be. You're ordered to undergo 6 months of counseling. And you are going to receive a 3 months probation.
You may have to register then.
Yeah. And assuming that you keep yourself straight and keep yourself clean, this will all be swept away. Yep. Probably not even the registration.
That could be too.
This is one of my favorites. You know, in life, you get to meet some very smart people.
Yes, you do.
And when you see one like this, you say to yourself, oh boy, this is great. This man, obviously a brain surgeon, by the way, lives in an $800,000 house that he built himself. He's a contractor, 57 years old, and he was ordered to vacate the house. The wife divorced him finally.
I know this one where you're going now. Yeah.
Yep. 3 kids. And so he was supposed to get out of the house, but Saturday night he shooed the cat out and ignited an inferno. He says, I did it. I poured gasoline. My wife is moving in tomorrow. He also stated that he left gas cans inside and opened the natural gas valve. He was laughing and making jokes with the police officers and firemen.
Oh yeah, he didn't care.
Yep. One fireman was hurt, smoke inhalation, but the attorney, Gary Zarola, said Brosnan has a limited memory of what happened Saturday.
Conveniently.
Mr. Brosnan's been going through a very difficult time in his life. It's the end of a 27-year marriage with 3 beautiful children. He built that house from the ground up. You know, he sounds like the kid that was arrested and taken into custody by the police because he shot and killed his mother and father.
Oh, I
and they
know.
were putting him in the back of the car, and he says, "Take it easy on me, I'm an orphan."
Yeah.
Yeah. He also told them that the fire, this is our friend Mr. Brosnan, the fire was the most beautiful thing ever. Look at it go, he said to the cop. Yeah, so she had obtained a 10-day restraining order to protect her and the girls against her husband, claiming in an affidavit, Tim is an alcoholic and had a very abusive childhood, and I believe has psychiatric issues that are undiagnosed. So there it is. He's the victim.
Of course he's a victim.
Yeah. So what would you do with this victim?
Well, restitution is the first there. Because
Order of business.
Order of business. Because he technically burned his own house.
Yeah.
But it was not technically his, it was technically his and hers. And apparently it was more hers.
Well, hers, because she was getting possession of it.
Possession of it.
Yeah.
So he burnt her possession.
$800,000 worth.
If there's injuries and damages to outside properties, there's additional penalties. If there's a potential for harm, particularly physical harm to neighbors, people across the street, then there's got to be additional. But right now, I don't know what he does as a contractor.
Yeah. By the way, maybe this will help you make a decision. His attorney further said, he made sure even the cat was out of the home. So if that doesn't tell you what kind of a heart he has when it comes to living, breathing things, I don't know what else could. Lilia Sherman, who said she's been Timothy Brosnan's friend for more than 15 years, said, he's a very nice guy. This is very out of character for him.
Okay, we'll see how.
Does that help matters?
Not really. Not when you
No,
those type of characters
no.
are producing character references.
Yeah.
But the cat thing, that's kind of that's a clutch.
I think that's a reach.
Anybody, unless you're a real idiot, you wouldn't let your own cat burn up.
Yeah.
But in that case, this is a case where I think I would like to see him incarcerated during an evening and going to work in the daytime. And all he makes goes to rebuild that house and put things back new and right.
Now I wonder, will the insurance pay on that?
Arson? With his own arson? I don't think so.
No, unless she got title to the house.
Yeah. And
Then in that
insurance
case,
is
I
in
think
her
they
name.
would pay.
Yeah.
But this is just to do this to your wife is one thing, but to the 2 teenage girls too. I mean, come on, he can be mad as he wants at his wife. He sounds like a real beauty, but sounds to me like the booze kind of got to him, and a whole bunch of other things
I'm
too.
sure that's a contributing factor, but
Yeah.
it's not a dispensing factor. You can't,
Right.
Because we can't blame it on the
No,
on that because you're still responsible.
for drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, work daytimes,
Yep.
live in the jail at night.
And
And,
confined on weekends.
yeah,
Until
unless he's working.
Yep. Until everything's paid, and then a very strict probational period.
No drinking,
No, absolutely not.
no drugs.
Nope.
And I'd give him about a week and a half before he screws up and that whole deal goes down the tubes and they just lock him up.
Well, that time it's slammer time.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Page 2. You know, this one here is so bad. This guy has a girlfriend. They go out and they get all kinds of drugs. But the girlfriend has a 17-year-old daughter that's with him.
Yep.
But they're taking her to a motel to meet a guy that she met online for a date, and she was going to spend the night with him. And you know what happened? He never showed up.
Probably lucky for him, he never showed up.
The little girl became despondent. So the mother gives her some meth to calm her down.
Was this the Mother of the Year award here?
Yeah, Jasmine Rude. She even looks like a witch. So, Evangelique Eve Tommy, a 17-year-old senior at Spalding High School in Rochester, was found dead by paramedics in the hotel room with her mother and the mother's boyfriend that gave her the meth.
Just the daughter's dead or the mother?
Just the daughter. Just the daughter. Yeah. But they didn't call the cops until they planned on what they're going to do. They hid all the drugs.
They're implicit in the death. They're,
Yeah.
They're
And
damn
then,
well ain't going to get blamed.
then called the cops and then pretended they were doing CPR.
Mm-hmm.
Can people get any worse than this?
Not much. They can get variations of the same thing, but that's just about the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, she was planning to meet a man she had met through Facebook for a date and then stay with him. And then her mother and her mother's boyfriend planned to pick up $80 worth of heroin from Ross's dealer and bring the drugs back to Rochester.
That almost reeks of trafficking.
Boy, oh boy.
But you know, you can't imagine some of these people, the scenarios they can set up.
So the mother reaches inside her bra, broke off a piece of their opioid purchase, and handed it to Ross and told him to give this to her to calm her down.
Okay. That's unbelievable. It's
the same thing as bloody homicide.
Of course it is.
Unbelievable. They were held in lieu of $10,000 bail.
The very least he got there is involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah. There's the mother. She looks like the motherly type, huh?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You and I would have never dated that.
Oof.
Man, oh man.
Man, I'm telling you, that is a scary lady.
She's tough looking, folks.
Well, I have another story for you. I don't know. What are we going to do with them?
Yeah. They're good for 50. At least 50.
My sentiments exactly. Well, this is a heartbreaker.
Okay.
Andover police arrested a New Hampshire man Friday morning after he allegedly broke into 2 homes. He faces charges of unarmed burglary, armed burglary, and assault and battery on a police officer. Oh, and the reason he broke into the homes? He was high on crack cocaine.
There you go.
Another victim.
Another victim. They're never responsible for anything. I got something that, let's say, can you imagine? Just open up your minds and think if you can imagine this happening here. The subject is Ann LePage. Ann LePage happens to be the governor's wife in Maine.
Oh, yes.
Now, it seems that the governor's office in Maine does not pay as lucrative as it does in Massachusetts. It's somewhere under $70,000 or $80,000.
Yeah, but they get a couple of bushel of potatoes.
And they don't get housing allowance and transportation allowance and cars and trucks and all that stuff. They just get a check. Well, it seems Ann's old car is kind of getting to its last legs.
No.
And they didn't have enough money to buy a new used car. So what does Ann do? Does she whine? No. Does she ask for campaign funds? No. She gets a job. Does she get some fancy state house job? No. She's waiting on tables in New Booth Bay Harbor, Maine, one of these large seafood lobster places.
Really?
She's carrying soup and sandwiches and stuff around. She's working 3 double shifts a week.
Unbelievable.
And loving it. There's
Unbelievable.
no frills, no nothing. She's just taking her check, putting it in the bank, because she's got to buy herself a new car. Now, folks, can you imagine Mrs. Baker, or better yet, Mrs.
Dukakis? Kitty Dukakis?
And the last one?
Oh, Deval Patrick?
Mrs. Deval Patrick, who handed a $125,000 personal secretary for her social affairs. Doing anything remotely like this?
Unbelievable.
Never happened.
Unbelievable. Well, folks, we're going to have to stop it here. But boy, I tell you what, we're going to keep the judge's robes on next week because I've got a stack here of more of these for the judge to pass judgment on, including one I can't find, but I'll find it. And let me tell you, this one will be the best one yet.
And folks, pay attention to this thing called the Clinton Foundation. There's more coming.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Listen, want you folks to have a wonderful, what's left of the summer.
Yeah, I'll probably have some good weeks coming up now.
And we'll be back at you sometime around, well, we'll be taping sometime around Labor Day. So wish you all the best. Be kind to one another.
Yep.
Think good thoughts.
Keep the letters and donations coming.
That's it. Drop off that brown bag of money at the door. Take care.
If the Clintons can do it, we can do it.
We can do it. That's it exactly. Folks, good night.
Adios.